Hey, I'm back. And I know it's been a while, but I wanted to cover this because it's a very big topic right now. It has a lot of political ties. I am talking about the Menendez brothers. If you do not know the Menendez brothers, they've been getting a lot of popularity. They have a documentary out on Netflix. Amazon has a documentary, Eric Tells All. Uh, they have a show that was made about them, and a lot of people on TikTok and YouTube have been watching these things, and they've been calling for the Menendez brothers to get a resentencing. So, if you did not know, back in August of 1989, Lyle and Eric called 911 to say that they came home from the movies, found that both their parents in the den shot. Subsequently, they were not arrested right away. It wasn't until they started spending money like it was water and not showing any amount of grief that two sons would show if they came upon their parents both brutally murdered, from what it's described by people that were at the crime scene. So that's when they ended up arrested and charged with their murders. The first trial, yes, the first trial, happened to come shortly after the Rodney King beating and subsequent acquittal of the four policemen that beat him. The judge happened to be the same judge that was on that trial. So the Menendez brothers, their defense was a sort of self-defense motive. Basically, it was that they were not in danger of their lives at that moment, but they did have a fear, whether or not it was a realistic fear, that their lives would be in jeopardy. This was their defense. They claimed that their father had sexually and physically abused them since the ages of 6. And they both testified, they had family testify of physical abuse and suspicion of sexual abuse. They had teachers testify, they had a tennis coach testify about the physical abuse. So the first jury couldn't reach a verdict. So it ended up a hung jury, which for both the DA and the judge, this was a second slap in the face after the Rodney King trial. The DA decided that he was going to retry the boys, and a lot of people think that there was a conspiracy of sorts between the DA and the judge, because what ended up happening is the judge excluded all the experts that they had called about the sexual and physical abuse. They banned the relatives from testifying, and the only one that ended up testifying in the second trial was Eric. But unfortunately, in the second trial, because of the rulings of the judge, he had nothing to back his testimony. Lyle had decided, because it was so emotionally devastating to testify for the first trial, he didn't want to do it in the second trial. Lyle had, in documentaries that have now come out on Netflix, Amazon, and Paramount, had said that part of the reason he hesitated to testify was he didn't want to ruin his father's reputation. He was a very popular record label executive. He knew a lot of well known people, and was feared, if not respected, in business. So, in the second trial, their defense was basically they didn't have one because of the judge's rulings. So they ended up being found guilty. That was the other thing they took away in the second trial was the manslaughter charge which they had in the first trial. So it was either guilty of murder or not guilty. There was no lesser charge for the jury to pick. So the jury ended up finding them guilty. They got life without the possibility of parole. At the time, Eric was 18. Lyle was, I believe, 22. They have... It was a big trial at the time. It was when court TV was new. It was actually the first case that was televised, the first trial. And a lot of people believe now that we know. So a lot of it, they've gotten, because of the documentaries, they've gotten a lot more popularity on TikTok, YouTube. People started reaching out to the DA in Los Angeles, saying that they thought the boys deserved a resentencing or a new trial, because back then we didn't know a lot about sexual abuse, and it wasn't really seen that men could be physically and sexually abused. As a matter of fact, in the second trial, one of the statements the judge made was, because they are not women, the battered women syndrome cannot be a defense. So basically, he took away the physical abuse part of it. There was also some new evidence that their lawyers are saying they found on an episode of 48 Hours. Apparently, months before the murders, Eric wrote a letter to his cousin Andy, who at this time is no longer with us, talking about the abuse, and how it was getting worse. At the age of 8, he also, I believe Lyle also confessed to a cousin who did testify in the first trial that Daddy touches me down there and makes me touch him. She reportedly, according to her testimony, brought it to Kitty's attention, and Kitty basically dragged Lyle upstairs, did not talk to her about it, and it was never mentioned again. And apparently it was a rule that everyone knew that if Jose had one of the boys in a room with the closed door, you were not allowed to go down that hallway. No one ever asked any questions. So basically now they're saying they have this letter. The cousin Andy did testify in the first trial. He reported that Eric, at the age of 13, told him that his father was touching him inappropriately. The prosecutors at the trial suggested that he was lying. So basically the first trial, they had separate juries. One couldn't reach a unanimous verdict. Basically, in the Netflix documentary, they did interview some of the jurors from the first trial, and they said it was basically men against women. Men didn't believe the defense, women did. Men wanted to sentence them, charge them with murder. The women didn't. So now that they've garnered this new attention and people had reached out to the DA, the DA had done a media thing where he said he was going to push for a resentencing of the boys. A lot of people believed this was a political choice because of the elections being so close. People that had reached out to him on social media had said they would vote for him if he would give the boys a resentencing. But unfortunately, with it being so close, that DA lost the election. So now there's a new DA. The lawyers for the Menendez brothers are still hopeful that they will get a new sentencing and hopefully be out of prison. They have this new evidence. The new DA says that he needs to look into the case and the trial and before he makes his decision. Another thing that came up was Jose Menendez was a reason for the band Menudo. One of the Menudo members, Roy Rossello, came out and said that he also was sexually abused by Jose in Jose's house. He came out with this at the age of 54. He's filed a sworn affidavit in 2023. He claims it was the fall of 83 or 84. He was between 14 and 15 years old. He drank a glass of wine, then felt like he had no control over his body. He says Menendez took him to a room and raped him. He also states in the affidavit that he was sexually abused by Jose on 2 other occasions, right before and right after a performance at Radio City Music Hall in New York. So this is a person not related to the family that's also claiming they were sexually abused by Jose. So it's kind of undetermined at this time. The lawyers say that they're hopeful that the boys will be home by Thanksgiving. Brian Friedman, a lawyer for the 24 extended family members of Jose and Kitty, wants the brothers freed. There is a uncle, Kitty's brother, who is not supporting the brothers' freedom. He claims that the boys were lying. They were never sexually or physically abused, and they got the correct sentence. But like I said, there's a Netflix documentary. There is that goes into some of the court documents. Amazon show. One is Eric Speaks Out. So the new DA, the old DA was Gascon. The new DA, Nathan Hochman, told CBS that he may ask the court for more time to review the case before the brothers are resentenced in December. So basically, according to the cousin in the documentary, they have a new court date, December 12th, I believe. Hochman officially becomes DA on December 2nd. There is a motion for the judge to vacate the first-degree murder convictions that appears to be set up sort of a race against the clock for the brothers. And again, Hochman told Times that he wants to review the case. As far as timing goes, if we need more time to formulate a thorough position on this issue, then I would ask the court, most likely for additional time, he told them. And I wouldn't engage in delay for delay's sake because this case is too important to the Menendez brothers. It's too important to the victims' family members. It's too important to the public to delay more than necessary to do the review that people should expect from a district attorney. So there you have it. They are close to a resentencing or a vacation of their charges, but are not there yet. We may find out more in December. We will have to wait and see. Like I said, I wanted to cover a little bit about this because it started gaining popularity among social media. I will try to keep up on what's going on with this case, and I will let you guys know. All right. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. What is your opinion? Did you watch the trials? Did you watch the documentaries? How do you feel? Thanks, guys. Bye.